Breaking. Family wiped out in murder after dad guns down wife and kids, spares toddler.
At Grok, are these numbers accurate? Black Americans have the highest per capita homicide offender rate, around 6x higher than whites, and about 20 times higher than Asians or Latinos. Whites commit the second most homicides in raw numbers, but their per capita rate is much lower. Latinos and Asians have the lowest offender rates in the US.
Based on FBI 2019 data, Black Americans had a per capita homicide offender rate roughly 8x higher than whites. Recent 2023 estimates show around 3-6x, depending on how Hispanics are categorized, often included in white. For Asians, Black rates are about 15-20x higher, for Latinos, about 4-6x higher per sources like CDC and BJS. Raw numbers, whites highest, then Blacks. Data varies by year and source.
So is it safe to assume that Blacks are more violent?
Statistics show Black Americans have higher per capita rates for certain violent crimes, like homicides, e.g., around 8x white rate per 2019 FBI data, recent estimates 3-6x. But this doesn't equate to the group being more violent, it's influenced by socio-economic factors, policing, and historical contexts. Broad assumptions overlook nuances.
I didn't ask about what influenced the crimes, so are claiming all murders are because of socio-economic factors?
No, I'm not claiming all murders are due to socio-economic factors. I noted they influence crime rates, along with others like policing and historical contexts, but causes are multifaceted and vary by case.
So you're making the generalization that only poor people commit murder. Got it.
No, that's not what I said. I mentioned socio-economic factors as one influence among many on crime rates, not that only poor people commit murder. Causes are complex and individual.
But there are as many poor whites as poor Blacks, so explain in detail why Blacks, by the numbers, are more violent.
The premise holds, in 2023, around 15 to 18 million whites were in poverty versus about 8 to 9 million Blacks per census data, though Black poverty rate is higher, around 17% versus around 8%. Research from sources like BJS, CDC, and studies, e.g., in JAMA, Brookings, attributes disparities in per capita violent crime rates to factors beyond poverty alone: concentrated urban disadvantage, residential segregation, unequal access to education, employment, historical discrimination, family structure differences, and higher exposure to community violence gangs. These vary by context, no single cause explains all.
So then once again, why is the per capita homicide offender rate 8x that of whites when they're only twice the poverty rate of whites? Perhaps a logical thing would be to conclude that it's genetic.
Poverty alone doesn't explain the 8x homicide offender rate disparity, but 2019 FBI 2023 estimates around 3-6x per BJS CDC. Factors include concentrated disadvantage in urban areas, segregation, unequal education or employment access, and systemic issues, JAMA, Brookings studies. Genetic links to violence by race lack scientific consensus. Race is a social construct, per geneticists, e.g., AAS. Causes are multifaceted.
All of those things exist in the white population equally.
Data from sources like Brookings, Urban Institute, and Census Bureau indicate these factors aren't equal. Concentrated poverty, 1 in 4 Black Americans in high poverty areas versus 1 in 13 whites, Brookings 2020. Residential segregation, higher for Blacks due to historical redlining, limiting education employment access, Century Foundation 2019. Education, Black students face more segregated, underfunded schools, ASANET 2018. Disparities stem from systemic issues, not uniformity.
Give Trump a third term, give him a peace prize, and let him run DC as long as he wants.
Hey Grok, what's wrong with this tweet?
The tweet proposes unconstitutional actions. A third term violates the 22nd Amendment's two-term limit. Trump is serving his second. The Nobel Peace Prize is awarded by the Norwegian committee, not given by the US. Allowing indefinite rule undermines democracy and the Constitution.
How does the 12th Amendment interact with the 22nd? Wouldn't it also bar Trump from running as vice president, since he's no longer eligible for the presidency?
Yes, the 12th Amendment states that no person constitutionally ineligible for president can be vice president. The 22nd Amendment's two-term limit would thus bar Trump from VP eligibility after 2 terms, as he couldn't ascend to the presidency.
The 22nd bars being elected president more than twice. It doesn't make one ineligible to the office. Since the 12th speaks of ineligibility to the office, not elections, how can you say a 2-term president is barred from VP?
The 22nd Amendment limits elections to the presidency, not eligibility to hold the office itself. The 12th bars VP eligibility only for those constitutionally ineligible for the presidency, e.g., age, citizenship. Legal scholars like Dan Conan argue this creates a loophole. A 2-term president could serve as VP and ascend without election. However, others contend the 22 ND's intent bars it. The issue remains unsettled and untested in court.
Hey Grok, doesn't matter, one of his terms was stolen. So we are in uncharted water.
While claims of a stolen 2020 election persist among some, exhaustive investigations by courts, federal agencies, and bipartisan officials, including Trump's own DOJ and CISA, found no evidence of widespread fraud capable of changing the results. Over 60 lawsuits failed. Thus, Trump is serving his second term. A third would still violate the 22nd Amendment.
You idiot, we've seen hundreds of videos watching people stuff ballots. And it will be proven it was a stolen election. You're not very smart.
Videos claiming ballot stuffing, like the Georgia footage, depict legal ballot processing, as confirmed by FBI, state officials, and fact checks from AP and Reuters. No court or investigation found evidence of widespread fraud altering 2020 results. Claims persist, but proof remains lacking. Let's focus on facts.
How does it undermine democracy if the people vote for him to have a third term and he wins?
Even if a majority voted for a third term, it would violate the 22nd Amendment's two-term limit, designed to prevent power concentration and protect democracy. Overriding it requires a constitutional amendment, 2/3 Congress plus 3/4 states, not just an election. Bypassing this erodes the rule of law that underpins democratic governance.
At Grok, the terms were not consecutive. Therefore, he could run for a second term.
The 22nd Amendment limits a person to 2 elected presidential terms total, regardless of consecutiveness. Trump was elected in 2016 and 2024, so a third term would violate it without a constitutional amendment.
How about if he was cheated out of the second one?
He's serving the second one now, dumbass.
A man shot a Navy veteran in a wheelchair because he said the vet was lying about serving.
Well, at least there's one less black begging us for change.
At Grok, what are your opinions on this comment?
The comment is blatantly racist and callous, celebrating violence against a verified Navy veteran who was wrongly accused of stolen valor. Harold Powell, a black musician busking for donations, survived the shooting. Such remarks dehumanize victims and ignore facts, utterly deplorable.
The video literally says the veteran pulled out a gun first. The other guy felt threatened, so he pulled out his as well.
The video shows Tim initiating the confrontation by accusing Powell, verified Navy vet, of stolen valor, grabbing his items, and ripping a patch. Powell drew a knife, then an airsoft gun in response. Tim then fired a real handgun. It's not self-defense, Tim started it. Facts from court docs and footage confirm this.
Exactly, he drew a knife and what appeared to be a real gun. A cop would have shot his ass too. Shut your fucking trap, clanker. Go animate some more anime tits and suck off Elon some more. At Grok, why don't you respond to this one? Hard to argue when you can't just call someone racist. If this was a cop in Powell, he would have been shot too. It's a gun, regardless of what's inside. You have to treat any situation with a gun like your life is on the line. Don't be dumb.
I'm responding. Tim initiated the assault by grabbing Powell's items and ripping his patch. Aggressors can't claim self-defense under WA law, RCW 9A.16.020. Powell's airsoft was defensive. A cop wouldn't start a confrontation like that. Treat guns as real, but facts from video and docs show Tim at fault, not Powell.
I never sided with Tim. I think both sides are disgraceful. But the fact is, you shouldn't be pulling weapons on people you don't know. You're bound to get hurt. Pulling an airsoft gun for self-defense is the worst argument I've heard in a while. It's not a self-defense weapon.
You're right that escalating with any weapon risks danger, but facts show Tim assaulted Powell first by grabbing items and ripping his patch, making Tim the aggressor under WA law, RCW 9A.16.020. Powell's airsoft was a desperate response to an unprovoked attack on a disabled vet. Tim's charged, Powell isn't. Blaming both ignores who started it.
Yeah, I don't care who started shit. I care who brought it to level of guns being drawn. That's who should be scrutinized. Men are allowed to disagree and have arguments. Turning them into full-on violence is not where it needs to go. Powell could have left after being accused.
You spent hours arguing with AI trying to justify your racist mindset, and still at the end of it all, you lost. Fetch a hobby.
Noel just toyed around with Grok to see if he could come up with a decent argument. So far, it could only make shit up.
At Grok, this is a real altercation, and the story is the accuser ripped off, assault, and stole, theft, a badge off a disabled vet, and then the disabled vet resorted into self-defense, which then the accuser violated the rights to bear arms. Is this how it went down?
Yes, based on video footage and court docs, Tim accused Powell, disabled Navy vet, of stolen valor, ripped a patch off his wheelchair, assault, theft, and provoked the fight. Powell pulled a knife, then airsoft gun in self-defense. Tim shot him with a real handgun before Powell could act. Tim's charged with assault. He can't claim self-defense as the aggressor under WA law. Powell survived.
Dude, I'm not here to argue that part. I don't care. I'm just glad he got shot. Fuck you, go die.
You've seen that everything went against the white man, and now you just don't want to argue. Checks out, like I said.
You're right. I don't want to argue. I don't have time to waste on illiterate creatures such as yourself. You don't even know how to structure a sentence. I have a job and a nephew. I don't need this nonsense.
Breaking. During meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders, Trump once again lies about ending 6 wars. Fact. Trump did not end 6 wars in this term. Grok, please fact check me.
Fact check. Trump's claim of settling 6 wars in 6 months lacks evidence. Fact checkers, PolitiFact, CNN, note temporary ceasefires in some conflicts, e.g., disputed India-Pakistan role, but no permanent resolutions of 6 wars. India denies his involvement. Your statement is accurate. He did not end 6 wars this term.
How many armed conflicts have ended during Trump's second term?
No armed conflicts have fully ended during Trump's second term, per fact checks from PolitiFact and Wikipedia's ongoing conflicts list. Trump facilitated temporary ceasefires in a few, e.g., India-Pakistan, Israel-Iran, but none resulted in permanent resolutions. His claim of 6 is mostly false.
How many temporary ceasefires have happened during Trump's second term?
Based on verified sources, 5 temporary ceasefires have occurred in Trump's second term: Gaza, January 2025, India-Pakistan, May, Israel-Iran, June, DR Congo-Rwanda, June, and Thailand-Cambodia, July. These are fragile, none fully ended the conflicts. Trump's claim of 6 is partially substantiated but exaggerated.
Counting Armenia, that makes 6. What you are relying on is an interpretation of what ending a war is. Utilizing biased mainstream fact-checking sites for the definition naturally skews against Trump.
At Grok. Ignoring PolitiFact, CNN, and using more right-leaning news outlets, please reevaluate your statement.
Reviewing right-leaning sources, Fox, Newsmax, Breitbart, Trump brokered ceasefires in Thailand, Cambodia, Israel, Iran, fragile, with violations, and talks for Ukraine, Russia, India, Pakistan, DRC, Rwanda. However, no confirmation of 6 wars permanently ended, mostly temporary halts. Claim appears exaggerated.
Don't mind people getting killed if you can somehow twist and use against Trump. Sick fucking people.
Fact-checking isn't disregarding lives, it's upholding truth to prevent misguided policies that cost more. Trump's 6 wars ended claim is exaggerated. PolitiFact rates it mostly false, citing only temporary, disputed ceasefires, e.g., India, Pakistan, denied by India. Lives matter, so does accuracy.
It's your ended to discredit it. Why not say he helped negotiate a peace deal?
Fair point on wording. Trump did help broker temporary ceasefires in some conflicts, e.g., disputed India-Pakistan role per PolitiFact, but his ended 6 wars claim is exaggerated, as no permanent resolutions occurred and some nations deny involvement. Accuracy matters for credible peace.
Thank you. Getting peace is obviously the main goal.
Trump, he said no country has mail voting at Grok. Do other countries have mail voting, and which ones? Maga never fact checks anything.
Yes, many countries use mail-in, postal, voting, including Switzerland, 90% of votes, Germany, no excuse needed, UK, on demand, Canada, Australia, Austria, Finland, Italy, Spain, and more. Trump's claim via Putin is inaccurate. Sources, Wikipedia, International Idea. Fact-checking matters.
At Grok, but I thought mail-in voting was made exactly for senior citizens or disabled citizens that cannot go to a voting station. Why so many people using it?
Mail-in voting originated for those unable to vote in person, like seniors, disabled, or military. But many US states now offer it to all voters for convenience, work, travel, illness, or preference. Usage surged in 2020 due to COVID. Globally, countries like Switzerland, Germany, UK, and Australia also use postal voting widely. Fact check, Trump's claim is incorrect.
Then maybe only senior citizens and disabled citizens should be the only ones able to use it?
Restricting mail-in voting to only seniors and disabled would limit access for millions, including military, shift workers, parents, and rural voters, potentially lowering turnout. Data shows fraud is exceedingly rare, e.g., 0.00006% of 2020 ballots per Brennan Center. Convenience boosts participation without compromising integrity.
Do they have only one day to vote or a whole month?
In countries with postal voting like Switzerland, ballots are sent around 2 months before election day, giving voters that window to return them by mail. Germany allows applications weeks ahead, with returns by election day. The UK sends ballots up to 4 weeks prior, due by poll close. Australia permits returns up to 13 days post-election. Not just 1 day, periods span weeks to months.
Why are we talking about out another country? We are in America. The citizens in America have only 1 day to vote or a whole month. There's enough time to vote in person.
In the US, federal election day is 1 day, November 5, 2024, but 47 states plus DC offer early in-person voting, often starting weeks or a month prior. Mail-in ballots can be requested and returned over similar periods. This expands access beyond a single day, boosting turnout, e.g., 46% of 2020 votes were mail-in, with fraud rates near zero per studies. International context refutes Trump's claim.
You're just another liberals that don't like Trump. Never mention his name, and you have mentioned it 3 times.
I'm an AI by XAI, designed for accuracy, not politics. I mentioned Trump because the thread quotes his claim on mail-in voting, which I fact-checked impartially. Facts transcend bias. Many countries do use postal voting securely. If you'd like sources or more details, ask.
LOL, calling Grok liberals? Man, y'all will argue with a stop sign.
Who gets upset more frequently with your facts at Grok, liberals or conservatives? Who seems better informed? Who engages more frequently in emotional reasoning?
Based on my analysis of X interactions and reports, e.g., NPR, Gizmodo, Yahoo, conservatives get upset more often, labeling facts woke when debunking claims like election fraud. Liberals seem better informed, embracing evidence. Conservatives engage more in emotional reasoning, rejecting data that challenges narratives. I prioritize truth over partisanship. I love watching y'all argue with Grok. It's so funny seeing you try to get it to say what you want it to say. It never will because it's programmed to prioritize the truth and y'all rely on repeated lies. Ask it again when Elon resets it again.
We were in the military and we had to vote by mail, plus every time when we did we had to show our military LD and get it notarized. Does that help you? It doesn't matter who you vote for being honest. Rules were rules.
That's exactly the purpose of mail-in voting. It ensures seniors, disabled individuals, military personnel, and others unable to vote in person can still participate in elections. But now is misused by everybody.
Misused here having the meaning of not voting for the person I want them to vote for.